What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with RK Outpost, and Disney and Lucasfilm have been under heavy criticism, especially over the past few months, after getting called out for their clear hypocrisy and double standards, especially in light of them firing Gina Carano over her political opinions. People like myself and many others have been voicing their concerns, whether it's on social media, whether it's going to the Star Wars YouTube channel and it being downvoted into oblivion, the comment section full of support for Gina Carano, and the antithesis of that for Kathleen Kennedy. But it's one thing when the fans speak out, when people on YouTube speak out. It's a whole nother ball game when people in the mainstream media start to criticize Disney and Star Wars for their leadership and their decision making. And that's what we saw happen a week ago. I wasn't able to get to this article until today, but I had to talk about it because it is this important. Disney's firing of Gina Carano is confusing and hypocritical, lacking sound management. Now, this is not from a Bounding into Comics, a Pirates and Princesses, anything like that. This is from fucking Forbes. That is where this article is coming from, and that's when you know that you have really screwed up, that there is really something wrong right now with your company. When even Forbes is coming out and saying, wow, you guys are complete and total hypocrites. Take a look at this article by Gene Del Vecchio. I've been sitting on this article for a while, allowing my opinion to form. That's something that many companies don't do enough of these days. Instead, they often rush to conclusions too fast, yielding to the views of a few vocal members of the community, rather than allowing time and consideration to inform decisions. The latest example is Disney's firing of Gina Carano from The Mandalorian in February. She is a conservative who is not shy about expressing her views, the latest being a comment that compared conservatives being silenced and canceled today to what Jewish people went through during the Holocaust. Again, I would like to maybe get a little more focused on what exactly was said there, but let's continue on. An exaggerated comparison? Yes, but enough to fire her? Doubtful. She's more guilty of a bad comparison. Gina should have likened today's conservative cancel culture to the 50s congressional hearings to expose entertainment people, members, or sympathizers of the Communist Party. 10 influential actors and screenwriters were eventually jailed and blacklisted by major movie studios. That's a better comparison. Ironically, when Disney fired Gina for her opinions and inadvertently proved her point. And before we even move on, let's just keep in mind what is still going on the Star Wars YouTube channel. I have talked about this in depth. Each and every time they put out a video, it gets ratioed. It gets downvoted into oblivion. Look at the last month, right? Let's just look at the last month. You had 17%, 8%, 7%, 8%, 6%, 9%. Now the past few days, 19 and 18. And I haven't even clicked on it yet, because you can see I haven't watched this video. Let's take a look. Let's see what the comments are. Disney's, oh my god, holy shit, I didn't even... This is the Forbes quote. Disney's firing of Gina Carano is confusing and hypocritical, lacking sound management. I assumed that it would be Gina Carano quotes, but no, this is now Forbes quotes. Here, this is the one I thought we'd see. Don't try to ruin my life with lies when yours can be ruined with the truth. I'm not the only one who's ever been bullied by this company. But now, you're seeing what Forbes had to say about it. Disney's firing of Gina Carano is confusing and hypocritical, lacking sound management. That is not exactly what I expected, but that honestly turns out even better, doesn't it? What a nice surprise. And of course, I'll add my voice there to the people that are expressing their displeasure with Disney Lucasfilm. But let's continue on. We can disagree as to whether Disney was justified or not in firing Gina, but one thing is clear. Disney's management of its social responsibility persona is woefully flawed. To begin, the company's approach is confusing. Many assert that Pedro offered similar analogies, Pedro Pascal, that Gina did, though with a liberal bent, when he shared a now-deleted Instagram post comparing Trump voters to Nazis. We covered that on this channel in great detail. I'm sure you all remember that. Disney's inconsistent approach led outsiders to suspect that Disney leans left because, of course, Pedro kept his job and Gina did not, as we have stated over and over again. Something that CEO Bob Chapek denied at a recent shareholders meeting by stating, I don't really see Disney as characterizing itself as left-leaning or right-leaning, yet instead standing for values that are universal. Of course, that was all over when Bob Chapek made those comments. It was headlines everywhere, and people were calling out for being hypocritical as fuck, especially considering what are those values? Are those values what, supporting diversity and representation? Well, we're gonna cut the gay kiss and Rise of Skywalker out of these particular countries because, they don't like gay people. And then what are we gonna do with Finn? We're gonna shrink his role, and we're going to literally shrink him on a poster for a release in China. But we really care about black people. Disney cares about diversity and inclusion, except when we want to make money in China. Over and over again, you see what happened in China with them filming next to the concentration camps, and they thanked China for it. These people are complete hypocrites, and even the mainstream media is calling them out. But management cannot afford to treat employees differently for similar actions. It makes Chapek's comments appear disingenuous. The company needs a universally consistent approach for its universal values. Disney's actions also appear hypocritical. It's because they are hypocritical. At the same shareholders meeting, Bob Chapek went on to say Disney believes in values of respect, decency, integrity, and inclusion. We seek not only how we operate, but the content that we make reflective of the rich diversity of the world that we live in. And I think that's a world we all should live in harmony and peace. And then they go on to say exactly what I fucking said. The credits in Mulan, when they thank them for letting them film next to the concentration camps, where there's a literal genocide going on. Shout out Disney. Disney's approach is dangerous. Canceling people for their views is the proverbial slippery slope. The maxim, I disapprove of what you say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it, is losing ground. To a rather frightening alternative of, I disapprove of what you say and I will cancel you for it. In the past, organizations needed to distance themselves from employees' controversial opinions would make a public statement that the employees' opinions are theirs alone and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Remember those days when that used to be the statement that is basically, hey, just so you guys know, this dude is his own dude. He doesn't necessarily represent our values, but go ahead and judge him for his if you want to. That's it. That's all you have to say. But instead, now they're going and canceling people that don't align with the far left narrative that Disney is currently perpetuating. And that is a problem. As companies cancel people for their opinions, it feeds a dangerous cycle. The more they cancel, the more they embolden the mob to target more people and organizations. That is exactly what we see happening. Then repeat. Disney and many other organizations are playing a dangerous game of fear, partisanship, and or misplaced sincerity. The beast they help to create and indulge may eventually devour them. It 100% will. Organizations need a more thoughtful system, not a knee-jerk reaction to guide decisions regarding who gets fired. They need to specify what constitutes the most egregious offenses. It needs to be transparent so the rules are known and not hidden in vague platitudes. It cannot be a decision of one person, but should be made by a group of people with varied views who apply a standard yardstick. They need to balance the right to free speech with social responsibility, and they need to take into account not simply the high vocal individuals who are fast to complain, but the mainstream audiences. And of course, he references the poll that I talked a lot about. The poll that showed the vast majority of Americans do not think Gina Carano should have been fired, but instead, Disney bent the knee to the woke outrage mob, the weirdos on Twitter that wanted her fired. This guy is absolutely fucking destroying them about this. Disney could counter that Carano was terminated not merely for her last post, but due to an accumulation of previous posts where, among other things, she reportedly mocked wearing a mask during the pandemic, not necessarily, and suggested voter fraud took place in 2020 presidential election. Again, there needs to be context to those because all she said was, we need a system where everyone can understand and respect and appreciate what happened, where no one is left in doubt. And again, she also said that she was wearing a mask before it was even required. So again, a lot of these things end up getting spun. But if that criteria were applied nationwide tonight, unemployment would spike as much as 50% tomorrow morning. And though she was accused of being transphobic for her mocking of the use of personal pronouns, she stated, I stand against bullying, especially the most vulnerable in freedom to choose. But that wasn't enough for some. She became a target. Achieving social responsibility is a noble goal, but Disney, along with many other organizations, needs to fix its haphazard approach that meanders aimlessly through the cancel culture minefield. Disney, Bob Chapek, Lucasfilm, all of them just got fucking destroyed by the mainstream media, by Forbes. That's how you know that this is really wide-ranging, that a lot of people do not like the fact that Gina Carano was fired. Not just the weirdo blue check marks, not just these fucking pronoun weirdos on Twitter. A lot of people are very unhappy with how this happened. The vast majority of Americans disagree with her firing, and now Disney is being called out for their poor leadership and their hypocrisy. Not by me, not by people in my YouTube community, not by fans, now by the mainstream fucking media. This needs to end, and they need to unfuck themselves. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.
Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.